And then all of a sudden, it started taking off because he did the thing I call lanyap, which is where he did a little bit more than everybody else would do.
What do you call it? Learn up?
It's called lanyap.
Lanyap.
It's
That's the French word. Okay.
In New Orleans for a little bit of something extra.
We back at it, another episode from A to Z. I told you we bringing entrepreneurs to you, man, from all over. And I just met this individual here at this conference, business conference, and he had a great story. He put me in a little chokehold, did some wrestling moves, but everything that he has and everything that he spoke about was very powerful, and I can't wait for him to share his story with you guys. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our viewers and let them know who you are, what you do.
My name is Chris Elmer. I'm the owner of a company called PaySmart USA. We're a national corporate housing company, and we've been doing it for 23 years, long time.
23 years doing it. Okay, so what is the company about for those who don't know? Basically,
what we do is an Airbnb is where somebody has a furnished apartment or house, and people basically stay there. What my company does is if we need to create Airbnbs, we do that. So basically, if somebody needs 10 apartments, in fact, we're doing 8 apartments in Jacksonville next week. And what happens is that they contract my company. We rent all the furniture, turn on all the utilities, we pay the apartment rent. We basically make it where the person who's hiring us doesn't have to do anything but write us a check once a month, and we do everything else.
So they got to acquire the location first.
Yes.
And then once they acquire the location, they can reach out to your company and say, hey, we need it furnished, we need utilities, and you guys will put this all into one bill.
Whatever they need.
And then they just pay you.
We're the easy button.
Wow.
As I said, we have one company we do business with. We're in the process of setting up 1,400 apartments, and we're going to be paying probably 4,500 utility bills for them a month, and they get one bill. So basically, we do all the work, and they just pay us. That's all you have to do.
So how did you come up with the concept? Like, what made you how did you come up with that?
Well, what happened was that I was in the industry. I had a cleaning company, had a maid service, and a houseware rental company, or worked for a houseware rental company. And what happened is that the corporate housing corporations that did it hired us to do maid service and housewares. And at some point, it was about the late 90s that they basically decided to hire their own maids and do it all themselves. So I was in a situation where my companies were going to go out of business unless I came up with something else. So I basically came up with a different version of corporate housing, and here I am.
And how long have you been doing this?
23 years.
23 years. Yep. All right, so 23 years prior, what were you doing before?
I worked basically, at first I was in the corporate world. I worked in the furniture rental industry, worked for a company called Court Furniture Rental.
Yeah, I know Court.
Yeah, and basically worked for them, and then decided to become an entrepreneur. And that's when I went ahead and ran the houseware rental business, which is the pots and pans, all the things a corporate housing, corporate apartment needs, and the maid service.
Right.
And so started those things, and then it evolved into PaySmart.
Okay, so we got to go back then, because this is from A to Z, so I want to take it back just a little bit.
Sure.
I want to know about younger Chris, maybe like that 21-year-old. Like, what was your mind state then, and what were you doing around that time?
Well, at that time, I went to work for a company called McGregor Rents Furniture in Clearwater, Florida. So at that time, I was enjoying the 80s. It was like early 80s. Had a great time living in Clearwater, a lot of fun, and ran a furniture rental company.
All right, gotcha.
And we competed against Court for 7 years, and then finally Court hired me, and I went to work for them.
Oh, so at that time, around 21, you were already in that industry.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I've been in it my whole life.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
So how did that start? Like, was family in it already, or did you just go apply one day to get into this business?
It was just an act of fate, where basically I had a part-time job working for, I needed a part-time job. I was going to LSU, and got a part-time job working for McGregor Rents Furniture, somebody who would go to apartment complexes and say, if you need furniture rental, go to McGregor's.
Oh, I got you.
And that's how it started.
Got you. So that's how you started the whole.
And then what happened is that I did it for a while, and then at that time the furniture rental industry was expanding, and McGregor's wanted to open 3 different locations: one in Birmingham, one in I think it was Pascagoula and one in Clearwater. And Mr. McGregor came to me and said, you know, would you like to run a store? And I'm like 21. I'm like, sure, right? And so what happened was, is he says, I said, I want to go to Clearwater. And he goes, I'd really rather you go to Pascagoula. I said, if I have a choice, want to go to Clearwater. I don't even know where it is. Just like the name.
Oh, so you didn't even know where Clearwater was?
I didn't know where it was.
You just like the name.
It was Florida. It was like, you know, come on, are you kidding me?
So when you got to Clearwater, did you like it?
I loved it. Are you kidding me?
Clearwater?
Oh, yeah.
And how long were you in Clearwater?
For 7 years.
7 years doing that business in Clearwater. So you were running the business for him in Clearwater?
Yeah.
Got you. All right, so coming out of Clearwater, before you get into, well, I guess starting your own business, you said that Court was your competitor.
They competed against McGregor's Furniture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at what point did they become the person that they had to come to you to say, hey, we need your help now?
It was a moment that changed my life that happened at the very beginning. When I basically was a salesperson, I was still working in Baton Rouge. And what happened was the guy who was the senior vice president who ended up becoming the CEO of Court, a guy named Paul Arnold, basically came to visit McGregor's to see what the competitor looked like. And I greeted him at the door, walked in, and basically the manager came out and told him who he was, said he works for Court Furniture, which is a competitor, and the owner, the manager, insulted Paul.
Wow.
And so I walked him out to the door. He offered him a job delivering furniture, right? Vice president. Anyway, so as I was walking, Paul...
The vice president of Court.
The guy was offered a job to deliver furniture.
Wow.
Anyway, so what happened was that I'm from New Orleans, and you don't treat people that way. Right. So I was walking to Paul to the door, and the other gentleman who were with him, and I apologized. And that moment changed my life, because at that point, Paul decided he wanted me to work for him.
Oh, wow.
And it took him 7 years to get me, but I finally went to work for him. I treated him with respect, and that made a difference. And he became my mentor and taught me everything I know about the business.
Wow. So from you leaving out of that situation, just treating him with respect.
Yes.
Pretty much led you into working for him, and then him teaching you, mentoring you, period, to run a business.
That moment, that walk to the door changed my life.
I heard you talk about that in there. It was a list of different things that you said, you know, an entrepreneur needs to have to be able to be successful. And some of those were that, being respectful. Could you kind of dive into that and tell the viewers that who didn't get a chance to hear that, just not all of it, because I know it's a long list, but some of the things that are required, you know, because people think that, you know, it's all about money and stuff, but it is how you treat people.
Money comes as a byproduct of basically having good karma. Being honest is number one. You have to be honest. You have to treat people with respect. If you care for your employees, then your employees will care for your customers. And if they care for your customers will come back. It becomes a strategic advantage in the marketplace, meaning that if your competitors are not doing that, then basically, and your people are, then the customers are going to go to you.
Yeah, they keep coming back. Yeah, because you're treating them with respect, and you're treating your business with respect as well.
Absolutely, it is. It's not on the table. It has to be done.
Wow. Okay. So let's say, because you're in the space helping somebody with the Airbnbs. Do you help them get Airbnbs, or is that something they have to do?
No, what happens is we're simply a, how would you say, we're a facilitator, we're the easy button.
Got you.
Okay, meaning that if somebody's gonna set up a bunch of corporate apartments, as I said, we got a military company in Jacksonville that needs a bunch of apartments. They're bringing in contractors. They need a place to stay. What we'll do is we'll basically rent the furniture, turn on the utilities, we pay all the bills. If anything goes wrong, we're the ones who handle it.
Is this something that you can do? Like, okay, I'm in something like that, but it's not Airbnb, and I'm sure you know about Turo. You know what Turo is?
No.
Okay, so it's like a car rental service. So I have cars that I'm able to put on the platform, and I rent them out.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
All right, so Airbnb is like that. You get in these different properties, and you're able to rent them out to people who are coming in to stay for vacation and stuff.
We we are the facilitators of what we're the ones who run it. We do not.
Yeah, no, I know,
participate.
I know that. So my question was, let's say a person, do they have to have a certain amount? Because I know some of the people you're dealing with, they got 8, 9, 10.
No.
So
We
if
do.
I have one Airbnb,
yeah.
I could come hit the easy button.
We do it. We do it all the time. That's how we built our business on single leases, and then over time it evolved where our customers became bigger and bigger and bigger.
How does one get in contact with you?
Well, they can call my office or go online.
Are you based here in Jacksonville?
No, our home office is in Lake Mary, Florida.
Okay.
But our website is PaySmartUSA.com. And then our phone number is 1-888-381.
We're going to put it out, so give it out because we have viewers watching.
It's 1-888-381-8020.
Okay.
And what we are is we're basically the easy button for people who want to have their corporate housing managed for them.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty dope, man. Before we go, though, I want you to give, because you gave a great analogy, especially with the wrestling and how you had techniques and your coach was like, what is that? But you learned how to use it, as you were saying, learn the rules to the game.
Right.
And then you have your own strategic things that you use that works for you. So can you kind of elaborate on that, especially with because I thought that was a great analogy.
Well, I would say probably the biggest one is, as I said, when you being an entrepreneur, when you own your own company, you can do whatever the heck you want. So basically, if you have customers with specific needs, you can basically adjust and adapt to their needs to give them what they want. For example, we have large customers who want their bill designed a certain way, and they want it to appear a certain way. We will construct that bill. We have another client that basically wants us to track their use of kilowatts and therms and gallons for their efficiencies when it comes to the environment. And we just do whatever the heck they want us to do. So we adapt to what their needs are. And then we absolutely care about our customers. When you call us, a human being will answer. Who knows what they're doing.
You know what? That's another thing you touched on, because it's hard to get a human being. You got to press 90 buttons before you get to a human now.
No, that's I'm going to say it.
And even when you press 0, they still ask you
We're
again.
talking entrepreneurs here, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. If you have the ability to give your customer personalized customer service in this day and age, you have a strategic advantage over those who won't. And the bigger the company is, the less chance are that's going to happen. So when you're a frustrated customer and you have a problem, you pick up the phone and go, I can't talk to anybody, nobody will help me, then basically you're at a disadvantage when it comes to competition. But if you're building a company, what you want to do is be extremely customer service oriented, answer the phone. We have a 24-hour service line. If somebody's got a problem, they can literally call a number at 3:30 in the morning.
And someone
one of our most capable people. The lady who does it has been with me for 17 years.
Wow.
She knows the business and she helps people. And that's what we do. That's how we operate.
That's amazing.
You got to care, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
The exciting part about starting a business now is that there's what I call economic compression, meaning that because the COVID effect has basically suppressed businesses and suppressed the economy, when it releases, which will happen in the next few months, it's going to explode.
Definitely.
It's going to explode. And entrepreneurs that are starting businesses now, not only can they get aid from the Small Business Administration and the government, PPP, but also the economy is going to drive business to them.
Those are facts. These
are the best conditions that you can hope for.
I was just telling him that we talk about this all the time. This is the perfect time, like you said, as an entrepreneur, to really step out and do those things, especially with all the assistance and stuff that they're giving out. Yep. But what advice, before we wrap up, what advice would you give someone who is trying to be an entrepreneur? They may be they have that job as their security, right? And a lot of people who have not stepped out into this, they have the what ifs and the whys. What if I don't have health insurance, or if I have to pay for this myself? And they're so used to having that check that they know they're going to get every week or every 2 weeks or monthly, whatever the case may be. And then as an entrepreneur, you kind of, like you said, you have the freedom and stuff, but you're writing your own check every day.
Correct.
Right? So what do you tell somebody
Incubate
like
it.
that? Incubate.
You incubate it. What you do is you start off extremely small. You have your vision. Like I said, you heard the thing I was talking about the gentleman who started the painting company?
Yes.
He basically had a painting, he worked for a painter and knew how to paint, but wanted his own business. He didn't want to work for anybody else. So basically, we talked, and I basically gave him the fundamentals of what you're talking about. He continued working on that, on what he was doing, but then he would do things on the side, on the weekends, and basically developed customers that he did it on the side for.
Hey, if you like what you're seeing, you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the notification button so you can get all the alerts when we drop the videos. Each and every week, we'll have a new guest on here talking about entrepreneurship, business, and everything in between. So make sure you stay tuned from A to Z. We're going to let you get back to it. Subscribe, like, share.
And then all of a sudden, it started taking off because he did the thing I call lanyap, which is where he did a little bit more than everybody else would do.
What do you call it? Learn up?
It's called lanyap.
Lanyap.
It's a
yeah, that's the
it's a
French word. Okay.
In New Orleans for a little bit of something extra.
Yeah.
And when you're in the painting business, if you do a little bit something extra, the people appreciate it and they tell their friends. And what happens is all of a sudden, like I said, he's a huge painting company in North Idaho from nothing, from being a helper. But he did it because he gave a little bit something extra. That's an example of a strategic advantage that you can apply to beat people that have been doing. He was up against people that have been doing it forever,
for years, yeah.
for generations, and he's ahead of them now because basically he would do a little bit more.
Just doing a little bit more.
Good karma.
And good karma.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Karma's the key.
Man, it's been a pleasure talking
Absolutely
to you, man.
a pleasure.
Like, really, like,
Absolutely
I done
honor.
learned a lot just sitting there talking to you. I thank you for the book too. I'm definitely going to read that.
It's gold.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to read that, man. I just learned a lot. You just inspired me even more. Like, I'm always inspiring other people, but you inspired me a lot just listening to your story, even about the dyslexic and all that other stuff. Is just everything was inspiring, man. I was really engaged when you were talking. I really appreciate it.
To finish up, remember I was telling you about my mentor,
Yes.
Paul? Basically, there's a point in your life, when, like for example, when you're a kid and you become a teenager and a young adult, where you look back at your parents and go, my gosh, they did so much for me and I never thanked them. That happened to me after I started my own business, and I contacted Paul and I said, man, I wrote him a letter and said, you gave me everything, you helped me be successful when I wouldn't have had it myself. I said, I owe you a debt that can never be repaid. And his answer to me was, the way you'll repay that debt is to do it for others. And that's why I'm here.
Definitely. Hey, that's how we gonna end it, man. The way you repay that debt is to do it for others. So you got to be able to help others and that's one of the things I believe in too. As I'm climbing, I'm always trying to lift somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and I get a lot of flack from people who always say, why do I give so much information, this and the third? Well, I just know when I started business in 2002, I didn't have help. So now that I done went through the trials and tribulations on my own,
Right.
I try my best to give as much information as I can with the hopes that they will apply it.
Sure.
You know, but that's what I can do on my end is just
Right.
be that giver. But because of that, God just been blessing me more and more, you know, because I'm in that giving spirit to give.
It comes, whatever, it goes out, comes out.
Right.
It really does.
Definitely, man. Well, this has been another episode from A to Z. He said a lot. I wish y'all could have saw the actual presentation that he put together. Again, I appreciate the book.
It was my
And
pleasure.
one more time, if they can get that number and how to get in contact with you so they can have that, you know, if they're trying to get into this Airbnb business and they want to get it furnished, we're going to push that easy button.
Easy button. It's 1-888-381-8020.
That's it, man. This has been another episode from A to Z. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get the notifications when we drop the episodes each week. See you next time. I appreciate you, man.